Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It's our Mucking Fun Day episode. We're going to cover any of the news we were able to find after the weekend, which I hope you had some good rest. It's a good relaxation and you didn't worry about anything that's going on in the world. Or maybe you did, and we're about to tell you stuff that's already going on. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we started, and we haven't had any caffeine. We rolled out of bed, we got onto our computers, and we're ready to tell you what's happening in the world as drowsily as we can. Let's get into those headlines.
Apparently daylight savings time started and I didn't know about it.
Yeah, well, I only knew about it like when I woke up.
What? No, I don't care.
Yeah.
my phone changed. It doesn't change any clock, so I don't know.
Today on Before Coffee, foreign criminals awaiting deportation could be made to wear electric tags in the UK.
And Canada has a new prime minister, and his name is Mark Carvey, and he's taking on the trade war.
Denmark's postal service to stop delivering letters.
Arson investigators launched after video shows fire destroying yachts in Miami River.
Twins, rivals, clones. Hollywood is doubling down on dual roles.
And it's National Napping Day, as the clocks were set ahead so we lose an hour of sleep on March 10th, 2025 on Before Coffee.
Yeah, another Monday where I tried to wake up at 10:30 and then I didn't. And then when I woke up now, I checked the world clocks because I saw a post about it and I looked and it was like, it's 4:30 in the West Coast. And I'm like, it's not supposed to be 30 minutes from now. It's supposed to be 4, not 30 minutes ago. So I rushed downstairs. I haven't washed my face or anything, drank any water. I haven't even gone to the bathroom. I sat down on this chair and started opening all my programs like OBS and stuff. So let's get into the stories that are happening. First stories coming from the UK. Oh wait, let's roll the wheel. Don't want to forget about the wheel. Yeah.
Spin the wheel. If you rolled it, it was leaving.
It may be a Monday, it may be time changing, but we still have to roll the wheel. Alright, I'm gonna need an alliteration headline from you.
Oh, okay.
An easy one. We're not starting you off with a limerick in the morning. Okay.
It's easy.
Coming out of the UK, this is Caitlin Dougherty on The Independent. Foreign criminals could be made to wear electronic tags and subject to nighttime curfews while the government is waiting to deport them, under new plans set to be unveiled by ministers. An amendment to the Border Security, Asylum, and Immigration Bill will mean tougher restrictions can be put on people who have committed a crime or have been deemed a threat to the public but cannot be removed. I love that. Or deemed a threat. You know, I love vague things in laws because then you can just prosecute anyone you want. People who breach the restrictions could face jail time under the plan set to be tabled in the legislation today. A government spokesperson has said that ministers are committed to delivering justice for victims and safer streets for our communities. The spokesperson added, any foreign nationals who commit heinous crimes should be no doubt will do everything to make sure they are not free on Britain's streets, including removal from the UK at the earliest possible opportunity. For the foreign criminals who removal we are pursuing, but that we are presently unable to deport, we are introducing tougher restrictions, including the use of electronic tags, nighttime curfews, and exclusion zones. Breaching these conditions would be grounds for arrest, and the individual could face imprisonment. I love treating people like objects. Officials have said the law currently limits the government's ability to put constraints on people who have served a prison sentence, but cannot immediately be deported, or people who have not committed a crime but are considered high harm. You know what? I think Roger's high harm. Put a tag on him. That's like I said. That's the worrying thing about this law. Just whatever high harm means. Some judge can decide you're high harm and you're tagged now and deported. The end. Conservatives have also proposed amendments to the legislation which would mean migrants will have to earn more to qualify for a work visa and will not be able to bring partners to the UK unless they have been married for 2 years. Love, I have the same problem here. I have to make more money than Robert does in order to live here as an immigrant, whereas he can, make minimum of minimum wage, and he doesn't get kicked out of the country because he was born here. The report also suggested migrants will have to earn £38,700 in order to secure permission to live and work in the UK. But I'm sure they're not passing any regulations on employers that have to actually employ you for that much. The Tories said it will ensure migrants are self-sufficient and do not rely on the state. Well, they shouldn't be able to, right? Because they're immigrants. Most countries have laws against immigrants relying on the state, so that's weird. Asked about the move today on the, what is it? The 10th of March, Shadow Home Secretary Chris Phillip told BBC Radio 4's Today program, well, the intended effect is to bring an end to the era of the mass migration. You know what will bring an end to that there, Chris? Climate change not destroying the world, because the reason people are migrating is a lot of factors, but climate change is definitely one of them. Oh boy, all the plants are dead. I can't grow anything anymore. And also, my house is underwater. Time to leave. That's going to be happening soon. By the way, sure, you can't avoid the political upheavals and the dictatorships and, the wars you start yourself. But hey, you can at least try the climate change one. What we should focus on is much smaller number of very high-skilled migrants, rather than mass low-skilled migration. Because all the British people want to do those low-skilled jobs. That's why they're doing them right now. Not the migrants, right? Just not living reality. These politicians are not living reality. Nobody wants to do low-skill work. Low skill. Even I don't believe in low-skill work, but there's people who believe in it, and there's people who don't want to do it. That's why migrants exist. And now you're going to force people who don't want to do the job to do the job. It comes as ministers are facing questions over reports of alleged Palestinian gunmen illegally crossed the channel on a small boat. Not the Palestinian gunman. According to the Mail on Sunday, which is not a newspaper but a tabloid, Abu Wadi is a former key member of a militant group who calls for the slaughter of all Jews and posed with an AK-47. Wow, that doesn't sound like slander at all. Wadi, who is believed to be in his mid-30s and from the city of Khan Yunis in Gaza, is thought to be one of the 235 migrants picked up for small boats in the channel last Thursday, which was where's my calendar? I can't remember the date. Which was the 6th of March. Mr. Phillip claimed he would be raising the case with ministers. He said, I certainly be asking the Home Office that question. What's the Home Office need to do is identify where the despicable individual is and frankly move him to the country back to Palestine immediately. Oh my god, Hitler's on that boat! We can't let migrants in. Hitler might be on the boat. That's what I hear here, right? Let's make a boogeyman for people to be scared of so that we can justify creating laws that yet again force migrants into even smaller boxes than they're already in and also start tagging criminals like their livestock. There's my story, coming out of the UK, yet again disappointed with the treatment of immigrants.
Oh boy.
And your alliteration, please.
Nationalist name, nativist nastiness. So, hey, we're reusing the same synonyms over and over again.
Yep.
I can't say synonyms. Alright, so on to American work.
But first, let's roll my segue.
Right.
Oh boy, limerick time already. Let me go get a cup of coffee real quick.
Find out what rhymes with Ottawa, because we're going to talk about Canada. Right?
Yeah, alright.
Ottawa's a tough one. Canada, though. I think Carney things rhyme with Carney. Alright. Independent.co.uk. This is Alexander Butler. New Canadian PM Mark Carney vows to fight U.S. trade war until Trump shows respect. Oh. The only person he respects is Putin, because Putin's got him by the nads. From reproductive rights to climate change to big tech, the independent, we're going to talk about the paper that wrote this. No, we're not. Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has vowed to take on Stinky the Clown and urge his country to unite in a defiant acceptance speech during a fierce trade war with the United States. The former Bank of England governor, who will be sworn in as Justin Trudeau's successor in the coming days, was on Sunday night elected as Canada's new Prime Minister by the country's governing Liberal Party as tensions escalate over tariffs with its closest neighbor. After winning 85.9% of the votes cast by 150,000 members, Mr. Carney hit out at Mr. Trump for attacking Canadian families and wanting to destroy the Canadian way of life, describing the U.S. president's tariff and threats as the greatest crisis of our lifetime. There is someone who is trying to weaken our economy, Donald Trump. Donald Trump has put unjustified tariffs on what we build, sell, and how we make a living. After the U.S. last week slapped sweeping 25% tariffs on Canadian goods, Canada retaliated with its own 25% tariffs up to $155 million on U.S. goods over the course of this month. Mr. Trudeau said in a televised address last week, "It's not my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you are a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do." He's a very smart guy. He's a very smart con man. He knows how to give his way. He knows how to stay out of prison and basically just continue to lie to people so they can't keep track of your lies. While Mr. Trudeau described the neighboring countries as two friends fighting, Mr. Carney said the U.S. was a country. He said the U.S. was a country Canada could no longer trust. Mr. Carney, 59, will now have to negotiate with Trump as he threatens additional tariffs that could further cripple Canada's economy. During his speech, Mr. Carney said the Canadian government has rightly retaliated with tariffs and will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. We do not ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. Make no mistake, Canada will win. He then turned his attack on Canadian opposition leader Pierre Poilievre, who said he worships the altar of Donald Trump. While the Conservative Party has been gaining ground in recent months, like other Western democracies, the surge of Canadian nationalism amid aggression from the U.S. over trade and threats to make Canada America's 51st state has bolstered the Liberal Party's chances in the parliamentary election expected within days or weeks. We have made this the greatest country in the world, and now our neighbors want to take us. No way, Mr. Carney added. We can't change Donald Trump, but because we're masters of our own home, we can control our economic destiny. Mr. Carney's final fiery stance marks a dramatic shift in the rhetoric of Western leaders speaking out against Trump and will be watched closely by those in the UK and Europe as they try to grow a pair. Oh, sorry, that was my editorial. With the U.S. president vowing to put tariffs on the EU, which he said was created to screw the United States. Repeating the phrase, Canada strong, Mr. Carney said Canadians could give themselves far more than Donald Trump could. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for each other. We need to hold together for the tough days ahead. We can, and we will get through this crisis. Mr. Trudeau announced in January that we stepped down after more than 9 years in power as his approval rating plummeted, forcing the ruling Liberal Party to run a quick contest to replace him. Mr. Carney said his experience as the first person to serve as the governor of two central banks, Canada and England, meant he was the best candidate to deal with Mr. Trump. He said he supported a dollar-for-dollar retaliatory tariffs against the United States and a coordinated strategy to boost investment. He has repeatedly complained that Canada's growth under Mr. Trudeau was not good enough. Mr. Carney could legally serve as Prime Minister without a seat in the House of Commons, but tradition dictates he should ask to win one as soon as possible. He will also have to decide when to call a general election, which must be held on or before 20 October of this year. I will hold it immediately. While you're popular.
Yeah.
While you're popular, that's what they do.
While everyone's still hopeful and you haven't, I don't know, done something terrible like raise the price of milk, and then people are going to hate you because of that one thing, even though it's not that important grand scheme.
Maybe. But right now, while you're united against one person, it's good to stoke that. Stoke that nationalism. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, there's your story.
All right. Here's my limerick. No threat from the south could upend. The spirit of Canada won't bend. For in unity's grace, in this vast sacred space, a bright future we will all defend. So that's what I guess the new Prime Minister stands for. We won't be pushed around by the United States and their whatever, clown in chief. Which you should... I saw a news story yesterday. Well, my landlady, right, she watches news while I'm eating dinner or whatever. And this guy was saying, everyone should take what Trump says very seriously. And I'm like, I really hope they are doing that, because he's not joking around. You know, he didn't hire a comedian. I'm just saying there's some European and maybe even Canada and Mexican politicians who are like, oh, what a goofball. It's like, he's not a goofball, he's the president of a country. So you should take what he's saying seriously. If he's saying, I'm going to invade Canada tomorrow, you probably should think he's going to invade Canada tomorrow. He's not joking. He's not a comedian. So, yeah. Anyways, there you go. That's my 2-bit on that story, I guess. Let's go to our next segue.
Spin the wheel.
Non sequitur.
Woohoo, non sequitur. I don't have to write.
Alright. For my next story, we're going to talk about Denmark stopping its postal service. This is from an AP correspondent on The Independent. Denmark's day of traditional mail delivery are numbered. State-run postal service PostNord announced on the Thursday, what was that again? The 7th? The 6th of March, that it will cease delivery in the Nordic nation by the end of 2025. While package distribution will continue, yeah, of course, you can't just, teleport packages into people's houses. The move marks a significant shift in Denmark's postal landscape and reflects the increasing digitization of communication. The change will see the removal of approximately 1,500 mailboxes across Denmark in the latter half of 2025, and unused stamps will be eligible for refunds. The downsizing will also impact PostNord's workforce, with an estimated 1,500 of its 4,600 employees facing layoffs this year. And, layoffs indicate they might come back, but I think this is straight up just downsizing, so you're not coming back, ever. Sorry. PostNord, which also services Sweden, confirmed letter delivery in the country will remain unaffected, so only for Denmark, not for Sweden. The agency cited a dramatic 90% decline in letter volume in Denmark since 2000, with a further drop of over 30% in 2024 alone, compared to the previous year. This decline is attributed to the global shift towards digital communication, exacerbated by the 2024 Danish legislation that increased postage costs. Okay, that doesn't help either. We have been the Danes' postal service for 400 years, and therefore it is a difficult decision to put a bow on that part of our story, PostNord Denmark Chief Executive Kim Pedersen said in a news release. The Danes have become more and more digital, which means that there are very few letters for us to handle today. The downturn continues so clearly that the market for letters is no longer profitable. Pedersen said the heart of PostNord's business is parcel delivery, which it will continue to focus on in 2026. Helle Dragsted, a member of the Danish parliament, wrote on Twitter that the cessation of letter delivery will unfairly affect Danes who live in remote areas. Who's sending letters? I'm sorry. I guess there's people, okay, to be fair, we get letters here in the Netherlands, but it's usually only from the government, or it's the local newspaper, and that's it, right? Nobody's sending letters. Letters can still be sent through private companies, Danish public broadcaster DR reported. The state will ensure that infrastructure remains for mail to be delivered to Denmark's remote areas, including smaller island communities. Pedersen also told DR that people can send their letters as packages through PostNord's parcel shops. Germany's Deutsche Post also announced layoffs with plans to cut 8,000 jobs. So it looks like postal service is dying everywhere. Whether it's government enforced or not is a conspiracy for you to talk out, I guess. But that's my short story on the postal service in Denmark, and I guess also Germany, because it looks like Germany is also laying off even more people, 8,000. But Germany has a higher population, so they probably have more postal workers in general. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah, it was a short story.
Well, this just goes to show that it's tough out there to get the mail through.
It does.
I had a bad pun. I was just hoping you could keep. I just hope you keep posted on further developments. All right.
All right, let's roll the wheel again.
All right, we've got fire stories. Yeah, fire.
It's not even summer. It's not even fire season. We've got fires. Okay, I need to do a simile accurate metaphor.
Well, in an event that only affects rich people, so let's just cheer it on for what it is. Bringing down the oligarchy, one yacht at a time. This is from NBCMiami.com from Julia Bagg, Brianna Nasral, and Brianna Trujillo. We got two Briannas on this story. It's a two Brianna story, but it's a 3-alarm fire. Anyway, arson investigation launched after video shows fire destroying yachts in Miami River. 3 yachts were swallowed by fires, caught on See It to Believe It video early Friday as witnesses described a massive explosion in northwest Miami-Dade. The fires on the Miami River prompted a huge emergency response in the 3200 block of Northwest River Drive and sent billowing smoke into the air and could be seen from Miami International Airport. Authorities say they're investigating the fire as an act of arson. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue said that more than 30 units responded to the scene shortly after 3:30 a.m. Fire crews fought flames and flares by land and water, spraying foam on the yachts described as 2 60-foot vessels and 1 90-foot vessel. After hours, one of the yachts sunk and another was nearly entirely submerged. The third could be seen torched and gutted. Engine area appeared to be a problem spot as flames would go out and then rekindle. Yeah, well, there's going to be fuel in there. Ferocious flames lit the night and ripped through 3 yachts, sinking. Okay, that's for his pictures. There have been no reports of injuries, the fire department said. Just some yachts going down. Arson investigators of the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office and Miami-Dade Fire Rescue were looking into the blaze, but more information about who could have possibly set the fire and how was not immediately available. Some of the boat owners spoke to NBC6 off camera about the fire, and one nearly got emotional when reporters showed them videos of the flames, and he learned it was his boat that was scorched. A woman also told NBC6 that she owned 2 of the 3 boats and doesn't think the fire was random. She thinks they were being targeted, but could not say by who. Jose Rojas, who lives and works on the river, said he woke up to an explosion around 3:30 a.m. Crazy, he said. Then in Spanish, I was scared. Rojas said the biggest yacht was used as a party boat for charter excursions. Amanda Cummings, who was staying at a hotel just south of the river, said she heard the explosion from the 6th floor.
Wow.
It was just a loud boom, and the whole entire hotel, you could feel it shake, and the whole vibration, she said. Cynthia Walton, who was visiting from Dallas, watched as the boats were swallowed by the blaze. Very descriptive. It was really scary. With all the things going on nowadays, I'm completely blown away. With being there 3 in all, I was completely mind-blowing. No one was hurt, thank God, she said. Authorities have brought the fire under control by 6:30 a.m. Firefighters put down an oil boom and a strong mesh light sleeve that encases a highly absorbent material that soaks up oil and surface sheen to contain the fuel released from the boat that sank. The fire is now under control, but the units remain on the scene to contain fuel runoff from the vessel and minimize the environmental impact of firefighting in the water, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue said. Okay, there's your story. Fires on yachts, yachts on fire, probably arson, probably striking down at the oligarchy. Let's hopefully make these oligarchs fear for their safety every minute of their lives.
They're not untouchable. They're human just like us.
That's right. And I'm not saying it was arson. I'm not saying I support arson. I'm just saying it sucks being in your, got to watch your 90-foot yacht go up in flames. Anyway, there's your story.
Well, it's all water under the bridge now. All right. Really? There's your metaphor. They definitely need water, that's for sure. Okay, let's roll for your segue.
Yeah, yachts don't work without water very well.
I'm gonna need another alliteration headline for you.
Oh boy. I have to...
Okay. My next story is about twins, rivals, and clones. The new trend is happening in Hollywood films, and The Guardian is going to tell us about it. For years, dual roles have been played largely for laughs. Think of Adam Sandler's Razzie-sweeping twin turn in Jack and Jill, or Lisa Kudrow as both Phoebe and Ursula Buffet on Friends. Eddie Murphy was always particularly prolific, with his most multipulous performance as a clutch of clumps for Nutty Professor 2. There are exceptions, of course, but for every legend or the prestige, there are 10 Austin Powers, Bowfingers, and Shudder Norbits. This year, however, it's giving us a more dramatic breed of duplicate. Robert De Niro will pull a double Don duty in The Alto Knights. Michael B. Jordan will play twin leads in The Supernatural Sinners, and a pair of Robert Pattinson clones is currently headlining Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17. And there's more. The Monkey just served up a horror with 2 bloody scoops of Theo James. Zac Efron recently wrapped A24 thriller Famous, in which he plays both stalker and superstar, this November. Ellie Fanning will play twin sisters in the latest film in the Predator franchise. Recently at Sundance, Dylan O'Brien played his own twin brother in a darkly comic drama, Twinless. So, even disregarding the film's genres, it's still a notable spike in audiences seeing double. So why now? And how are these seemingly impossible shots realized? Well, we don't have to answer that question. Filmmakers have used various techniques to show actors multiple times in the same scene, says Daniel Harrington, a London-based visual effects artist and compositor. In The Parent Trap, split screen allowed the same actor to occupy both sides of the frame, whereas The Social Network used motion control to portray the Winklevoss twins by repeating precise camera movements. But before we tackle the technicalities, however, here's a brief history of dual roles. For the concept, it's almost as old as cinema itself. In 1898, trailblazing director George Méliès was already double exposing film to twice captures his likeness within the same frame. His method made the jump to feature-length films in 1917, when actor William Farnham played opposite himself in an adaptation of Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. The following year, Mary Pickford took dual roles in Stella Maris, using a new split-screen technique that would continue to be used for decades in films such as Dead Ringers, Adaptation, and Jean-Claude Van Damme's As Good as It Sounds Double Impact. The Alto Knights, over a century later, even uses a similar technique to double up De Niro in select scenes. But today, split screening is just one of the many tools in the dual role box. The most notable advancement in the field came about in 1989, with the release of Back to the Future Part 2 and director Robert Zemeckis' commissioning of Industrial Light and Magic (ILM) to create a Vista Glide, a robotic, motion-controlled camera dolly system that would allow filmmakers to capture multiple split-screen performances while also moving their cameras. This remains the most popular dual-role method, says Harrington. Several mats, the individual shots that make up a final frame, are filmed with the same actor playing their separate parts. This footage is then delivered to rotoscope and paint artists, who tidy up the edges of the raw mats before tasking compositors with piecing them together into one seamless whole. Ultimately, the success of Illusion depends on the synergy between one set preparation and post-production artistry. says Harrington. Digital effects may be increasingly sophisticated, but they're still not the most effective when built on a strong, practical foundation. So on set, consistent lighting, precise framing, and stand-ins are crucial for ensuring seamless compositing later. Without these elements, even the most advanced digital tools will struggle to create a convincing result. It's teamwork, exemplified not only by film, but by TV series such as Orphan Black. The small screen has indeed reaped the rewards of these technical advancements. 2025 will also see Netflix debut twin Jamie Dornan's in The Undertow and twin Anna Camps in the final season of You. Malachi Kirby will double up for Anasazi Boys on Prime Video, and Cynthia Erivo will play identical sextuplets when Ryan Johnson's Poker Face returns to Peacock. And while no breakthrough is solely responsible for the increase in dual roles, recent developments in AI-driven deepfakes and performance cloning have significantly lowered costs and sped up production times. This deepfake method of replacing faces, Robert Pattinson's visage was digitally transplanted onto stand-in for Mickey 17, was another ILM contrivance. Originally developed for 1993's Jurassic Park, Oscar-nominated visual effects supervisor Thea Jones works at Framestore, the studio who worked on much of June Woo's last offering. And while Jones doesn't believe there's a single catalyst for the current spat of dual-role project, it's likely some happy accident, he says. The same way you might get two films about an asteroid hurling towards Earth's landing at the box office at the same time. He also brings up the rise in deepfake technology. And maybe it's just easier now, so they're just doing it because it's easier. It wasn't an option 10 maybe 5 years ago, says Jones, but it isn't perfect for a dual role. You still need to find someone with similar features and proportions, and the baseline performance would be coming from the stand-in rather than your actor. Plus, off-the-peg deepfake technology certainly isn't up to IMAX quality at the moment, so you'd still need plenty of visual effects work to make it look believable. Framestore, Jones revealed, has developed its own neural face rendering tech called Facade, which he believes will set a new standard in the industry. But for purely dramatic moments, he adds, something like Lupita Nyong'o's incredible performance in Us, it'd be far better placed using practical techniques for the shoot, and post-production fixes to make the finished picture seamless. Sometimes this will involve rewriting the visual effects rulebook. Other times it will mean using techniques that existed before computers are even part of a film making. The perfect way to approach the art of dual role, for whether it's an actor's attracted by the creative challenge or the filmmakers hoping to advance the technical side of their craft, these twin turns have always been collaborative efforts. By continuing to blend techniques new and old, audiences are not only guaranteed ever more envelope-pushing performances, but the entire concept of the dual role will stay true to its innately patchwork nature. So it's just a coincidence that there's so many dual roles happening right now, and maybe a little bit of the technological advancements. This was from Jonathan Wells. You still there?
Okay. My alliteration headline. Don't worry. I don't know a voice, but I have a headline. It says here, Directors decide doubles deliciously delightful. There we go. Doubles deliciously delightful.
Deliciously delightful dual dudes. Okay, then let's do our final. Well, not is it the final segue? It's a final segue. Yes, it is. Where am I? What time is it? I have to do a bad pun for your day in history.
Okay. And I sent you a video, so there you go. We're all.
Thank you very much.
All right, this day in history. Day in histories are trying to get through this show. In Paris, on this day in 1793, on the proposal of Georges Danton, the National Convention decreed the establishment of the Revolutionary Tribunal. This day in French Revolution history.
Hey!
Off with their heads as the guillotine get all greased up and oiled up and ready to go. 1864, the Red River campaign began in the American Civil War, and it lasted for several months before Confederate troops under General Richard Taylor defeated the Union forces. So screw that guy. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell's liquid transmitter design permitted the first transmission of speech by Bell to his assistant, Thomas Watson. He said, "Watson, come here, I need you," or something like that, on the phone, the first telephone call. 1903, American jazz cornetist Bix Beiderbecke, an outstanding improviser whose style is characterized by lyricism and purity of tone, was born in Davenport, Iowa. So he was born this day, 1903. Also on this day, 1903, American playwright and politician Claire Booth Luce was born, who's noted for her satiric sense of humor, which she displayed in such oft-quoted aphorisms as "no good deed goes unpunished." So she's the one that came up with that one. 1913, in Toledo, Ohio, William Knox became the first bowler to make a perfect 300 score in an American Bowling Congress tournament. Perfect score. Right on. 1949, American citizen Mildred Gillars, who earned the nickname Axis Sally, was a radio propagandist for the Nazi government during World War II, was convicted of treason and served 12 years in prison. Axis Sally. Feeding that propaganda to the people, just lapped it up. I'm better than everybody. I love me some Nazis. Anyway,
delicious.
1960. Delicious.
I didn't want to say that, but that's the only thing I could think of saying.
What? 1969, James Earl Ray pled guilty to murdering civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. and was sentenced to 99 years in prison. Only 99. 1997, the cult 1997, the cult television series Buffy the Vampire Slayer premiered. Created by Jess Whedon, the show centered on Buffy Summers, an alternative feminist icon who battles vampires, demons, and other assorted supernatural forces of evil. Right on, Buffy. 2006, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter entered Mars orbit and began searching for signs of water on the planet. Still looking for water. 2017, South Korean politician Park Geun-hye's presidency ended at the country's constitutional court upheld her impeachment. She became South Korea's first democratically elected president to be removed from office. So she was not doing a good job, apparently. She had to go, apparently. I don't know. Not into South Korea's internal politics all that much. Our featured event is the opening of the Nazis' first concentration camp. On this day, 1933.
Let's celebrate that. God.
The first concentration camp in Germany opened in Dachau, where at least 32,000 people would die from disease, malnutrition, physical oppression, and execution. Oh yeah, concentration camps. A great idea that Trump wants to bring back because he's an idiot and a fascist. Our featured biography, Kim Campbell, Prime Minister of Canada's birthday today. What a coincidence, as Canada names a new Prime Minister. She turns 78 today, although Britannica wants to insist she's only 77. She was born in 1947 on March 10th in Port Alberni, Canada. Other birthdays today, Sepp Blatter, Swiss sports executive. Sepp Blatter, that's his name. Timbaland, American music producer and performer, born in 1971. Sepp Blatter was born in 1936. John Hamm, American actor, was born in 1971. Samuel Eto'o, Cameroon athlete, is born in 1981. And Carrie Underwood, American singer, born in 1983. And what day is it today? It is National Napping Day, which I'll be partaking in as soon as possible. It's National Blueberry Popover Day. That's good. It's National Mario Day, so get out your Donkey Kong and your
Let's
Super
go!
Mario.
Something.
Super Mario, one of your oldest video game characters. I think that there was only about two at the start. There was like Pac-Man and Mario. Right? And it's National Women's and Girls HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. Women and girls. It's National Pack Your Lunch Day. National Pack Your Lunch Day, and make sure there's blueberry popovers, and make sure you take a nap. For all those days, on March 10th, 2025. Those are your nonsense, those are your headlines, those are your wheel spins, and that's all your other crap. For March 10th, 2025, on before blueberry popovers.
Okay, that sounds good. Pop them in and pop them in your mouth. This has been Allison. Oh, wait. My bad pun. Right, I was supposed to be coming with a bad pun, but I was looking up, putting videos on the thing. Bad puns. Let's see. What did we talk about? You know what? I'm all out of bass, no treble. There you go. There's a pun I just thought of just now, but it has nothing to do with anything.
Okay, then.
I haven't slept either, okay? I did not I slept more than you probably, but I still didn't sleep that much. Okay, this has been Allison here from the Netherlands, Roger from the West Coast of the United States, where we're all in this weird time, whatever is going on. Why we don't change the clocks at the same time in this global economy, I don't know. If we're going to change the clocks at all, we should all do it on the same day. But I guess everyone argues on what day to do it on. It's also International UN observance of women judges, right? We had International Women's Day on Saturday, and we're still celebrating women like their power to be judges. You know, Judge Judy, very famous judge, of course. But historically, no, for some reason, women weren't allowed to be judges for a long time, and it's only recently that they've been allowed to also tell people that they're guilty. So there's your stories for today. That's everything. We'll see you tomorrow for Good Tuesday News Day, hopefully with a little bit more rest in our noggins. And I hope you guys try to have a good Monday. I know it's going to be hard because it's Monday and they change the time, depending on where you live. But take care out there. And let's go to our mic drop moment. Burn the rich! Burn the rich! It's very serious.
Eric and Alex, good morning. Good morning, everybody. So right here behind me, 3 vessels are up in flames this morning. According to a spokesperson with the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, they range between 60 feet and 90 feet. It's 3 of them that dozens of firefighters are working on right now to extinguish those flames as safely and quickly as possible. If you take a look at this video, we actually just got...
We need more yacht fires, I think.
It shows you all of that smoke.
Wow, look at that. That is a lot of smoke.
Coming above from this fire. This is actually happening at the 3200
There's a lot of fire trucks too.
North River Drive. As I mentioned, lots of firefighters are here. They have ladder trucks up, hoses running up and down the street, and we can see that they're grabbing water from different nearby pumps here to try to put these flames out. We are told that the 3 yachts involved,
stop setting
2 of
fires
them are 60 feet, and the other one is 90 feet, for a total of 3 yachts that are up in flames. At this time, we
oh no, these 3 yachts are in fire.
But if you take a look at this other video from the ground, you can also see firefighters who are hard at work. This is taking place near the Miami Marine Center Marina, if you're familiar with this area. Also very nearby, the Jones Boat Yard here.
Jones Boat Yard.
In Northwest Miami-Dade. And as I mentioned,
we could also cover somebody vandalized Trump's golf course in Scotland.
We are still waiting for the fire chief. Actually, there's several of them because of the magnitude of this fire that are working this fire behind me. One of them should be coming right here to talk to us very shortly and give us hopefully more answers for all of the questions that we have. As soon as we learn more, we will update you on air and online. But that's the very latest right now at 6:30 this morning.
Big boat.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.